Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 22nd, 2023 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm pleased to have you here, whether you're here with us in the room on a cold, snowy night or if you are watching us remotely. Either way, we're happy to have community participation in our meeting. For those that are here in the room, tonight's meeting agenda and all the supporting material are in the rear of the room. And for those of you that are watching us remotely, all of that same material, all the material we'll be relying on tonight in making the decisions on our agenda are available on the Town of Brighton webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. We're going to begin the open forum portion of the meeting in just a minute. That's the opportunity for members of the public to share their comments with the town board. If you're watching us on YouTube or on the cable access channel, you'll have to log into our Zoom meeting in order to engage with us. There are detailed instructions for doing that on the town webpage. Again, www.townofbrighton.org. We'll start tonight's meeting as we always do with the pledge. Robin, if you would lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Brighton's observance of Black History Month continues, and we've had a lot going on in the past week. I want to just update folks on some of those activities. Last Thursday evening, Chief Diversity Officer Miriam Moore organized a panel discussion featuring Lawana Jones, the COO of United Way of Greater Rochester, Adrian Hale, Director of Economic and Community Development for Foundry Digital and former Chief of Staff, I think was Adrian's title at the Greater Rochester Chamber of Commerce, and James Blunt, who is a real history maker. He and his wife Carolyn Blunt have long been the publishers of About Time magazine. So that was a great discussion. Then Friday morning, rather, quite a number of us were at Brighton High School. The BSU, Black Student Union at Brighton High School, held a terrific Black History Month assembly where Mayor Malik Evans, Rochester Mayor Malik Evans, and his sister Lashara Evans, who is the principal at the French Road Elementary School, were the two speakers, and it really was a terrific program. Really enjoyed hearing them, and brother and sister was a great dynamic. And then Monday, Councilmember Wilt, Robin Wilt, Miriam Moore, and I, as part of the annual meeting and training school of the New York State Association of Towns, presented to quite a good number of municipal leaders from around the state on Brighton's DEI experience. And that was really fun because it really brought home again that we're ahead of the curve. That's where we like to be. But we are absolutely ahead of the curve in local government, particularly local government other than, the cities in New York State. I started the program by asking, everybody in the room if their town was engaged in DEI work, if they had a DEI person on staff, or if they were working on a plan. Nobody. But what we did get was a lot of those folks very interested in what we're doing and how they can bring it home to their community. So it was very successful, and Robin, thank you for being a part of that. And,
very welcome. It was my pleasure.
It was really, really good session. We've still got more to come. Miriam will be doing a book sandwiched in at the library on the 28th, which I guess is Tuesday. 400 Souls, which should be a great presentation. So that's Tuesday, next Tuesday at noon. Okay, we'll now start the open forum. We hold the open forum at the start of every town board meeting. The open forum is an opportunity to address the town board on any matter relating to the town, whether or not it's specifically an item on our agenda tonight. I would note that we do not have any public hearings tonight. We commenced a public hearing on the proposed incentive zoning proposal for the Quickly's store and gas and EV charging station facility at the corner of Monroe and Elmwood. That public hearing will continue at our next town board meeting. But if you are here in person and would like to speak during the open forum, simply raise your hand. If anybody would like to participate remotely, come to the Zoom, use the raised hand function on Zoom, and we'll recognize you. I would ask if you would please, whether you're speaking remotely or in person, if you would please state your name and address. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and I will give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. We may not be able to answer questions that you have tonight, particularly if your question relates to a matter that's not on our agenda tonight. But our goal here tonight, and really at our open forum at every town board meeting, is to give the public the opportunity to share your thoughts with the board and for us to be able to listen to those thoughts. So please direct your remarks to the town board, not to the room or to other speakers. Please refrain from personal attacks and from outbursts of any kind during the open forum, out of respect for the speakers and the time, precious time on again, a wintry night. So we'll start the open forum. Yes, sir, come on up to the podium. Please state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jason Zoglin. I live at 311 Rhinecliff Drive here in Brighton. And I feel like I'm the guy that's going to rain on the parade, but snow on the parade, I guess. There's several town issues that have been on my mind for some time, and I have to say I've been remiss in not speaking about them to all of you and to the public sooner. I take heart. I like to read famous quotes, and Faulkner said, "The past is not dead, it's not even past." And that's how I feel about most of these issues, that even if something happened a little while ago, it still informs us, hopefully guides us today, whether it's a good event or a bad event. I've been concerned about some small things, conditions of the roads at 12 Corners, the street lights, at least on Rhinecliff, but those are less critical and could be discussed at another meeting or another time. The things that I believe deserve the light of day and that have been bothering me more profoundly, I guess, and I think are important to say publicly, is one thing I came across that I know I needled you guys a little bit about was that our town was the last town, at least of the ones I surveyed, in our area to return to in-person town board meetings following the COVID crisis. Even after the state had said we could return, I don't think we returned until it was required, or close to it. I called Penfield, Parrington, Pittsford, Rondequoit. All of them had returned well before we did. The evidence that I looked into, reading the guidelines from health experts, you know, there was so much information out there. I'm not a COVID expert. The evidence suggested to me that this was not really about safety, or at least not wholly. Most places, most businesses were open, some with masks, some without, and we're able to do it safely. I'd like to say that I'm happy about Zoom. I'm not a real Zoom guy. I know it's a good thing. I often got responses that how great Zoom was. I was never criticizing that. The way we've done it in the past before, Zoom, and Zoom is great. I have family overseas. I wouldn't be able to see my brand new grandchild if I didn't have things like Zoom. So I'm thankful for it, and I think it's great that we use it here. But the appearance was to me, and I did ask around friends and people I know just in Brighton, particularly at a time when there were several controversial issues brewing, I thought it was a bad look for Brighton. We came in last place in the towns around us in resuming meetings. And, you know, I feel for a lot of people like myself, maybe non-government people, non-lawyers, non-professional types. Zoom is not the same to us. It's good. It's an important tool, but it's not the same as being here. And I felt that particularly in Brighton when there were big issues, whether it was the incentive Whole Foods ordeal, code enforcement, zombie properties. We had this place packed. And you can't tell me, nobody could convince me, you can tell me whatever you want, that was the same.
30 seconds, Mr. Zoglin.
30 seconds is all I get?
Yeah, you get 3 minutes. You
3
have
minutes?
30 seconds left.
3 minutes? Come on, Bill. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. I've been at meetings where people spoke for half an hour. You remember that? Remember meetings where people spoke for that long? So you want to tell me I can't speak, I can't tell my whole thing? Why? Because it's critical of you, Bill? Is that why?
Would you like to continue, Mr. Zoglin?
If you're only going to give me 30 seconds, it's not worth it. I can't get through my points. How long have I done? 3 minutes? I could do it in, give me 3 more. Is that a deal?
We may have someone else here who wants to
No,
speak.
I asked this gentleman before I got up here, and he said he wasn't, am I correct? He wasn't intending to speak. You think it's too busy here tonight, Bill? Is that the problem?
Mr. Zoglin, go ahead and
Okay.
speak for another 3 minutes, but that's going to be a hard stop.
Okay. So anyway, in terms of that thing with the meetings, us being last, I think the people ought to know. Going back further, relevant to the repeal of 50A, I won't regale you with the Campany case, but a Brighton police officer had violated a citizen's right, and I foiled to get the information to look through their conduct and complaint folders, their personnel folders. I did the FOIL on 2/28/20. About 9 months later, I did get it. And even though that's a long time, you might think I'd complain. I give credit to Dan Amon and to the town. I did get it, and I talked to a lot of investigative reporters in Rochester that have had a really tough time. So at least I got it, and I'm appreciative of that. I wasn't so happy with what I saw. There was no discipline for either officer. Officer Hogue for violating a citizen's rights and really causing him significant harm, a little bit physically, but more so financially. Spent a long time in jail for an unconstitutional arrest. And for the other officer, Molisani, who I understand is not with the force anymore, though Hogue is, nothing in their personnel folders. The toughest thing in there for Hogue was that he's tardy. He seems to have a tough time getting to work on time. That's disappointing, you know. I know this wasn't, we could, you know, a George Floyd or Daniel Prude, nobody died here. But we don't even come close to that kind of thing. And the only thing that Hogue had requested for training was more tactical training. So he's going to be a bigger, tough guy. You know, those horrible things that have happened around this country and continue to happen, whatever they're related to, race, mental health, just bad policing, you know, they could happen here, and we don't want that to happen. The only opinion that matters is the expert opinion that came from Judge Melchor E. Castro that it was an illegal, unconstitutional arrest. I spoke with previous Chief Henderson. He did not understand why that arrest was illegal. Chief Cathaldi at a meeting I was at, a public safety meeting, said he thought there were a lot of different opinions on it. Yeah, but there's only one opinion that counts, and that was the judge's, very experienced, well-respected judge. We did wrong, and we swept it under the rug. That's what we did. I also noticed that if I wanted to get those same reports, since they were from before 50A was repealed, I couldn't get them now because the police union doesn't want it. I know the town opposed the police union on that one, but boy, we should oppose them harder. You know, if I get in trouble on a job, people can, I don't work for, I work for myself, so it's a little harder, but for anybody that works, for anybody, or any government official, how will we know? And if you've seen the ones that have been pulled from Rochester, boy, oh boy, did we uncover some police behavior that we wouldn't want, that no police officer would be proud of. So I feel like Brighton should stand up to the police and the police union. That's not good enough.
We have 30 seconds left,
Okay,
please.
that's cool. So I want you to stand up to them. And last time was on my mind is what happened. I went to the closing arguments for the Whole Foods, and I stayed after for a few minutes. That was, 4 hours sitting on a hard bench. Made me understand why I'm not a lawyer, but it was interesting. I tried to follow as best I could. But, Mr. Supervisor, respectfully, I stayed around a little while and I watched you talk to the media. And you said this is all about Wegmans trying to impede competition. What about the hundreds and hundreds of people that came to meetings here, to the meeting at Council Rock, where I myself got there about 2 minutes late and was turned away? I got to watch it online. Isn't that insulting to us that say, I don't know Wegmans' motivations, and I'm not naive, I probably can guess their motivations, and you're probably right. But how can you say it's only about that when the majority of Brighton citizens in a poll and in the meetings that we had said, we don't mind Whole Foods. We just don't want this incentive zone the way you did it. So
Thank you, Mr.
respectfully, that was a slap in the face to everybody that came to those meetings and tried to participate in this government. Thank you for all your time and for the extra time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during the open forum tonight? Hearing none, then, and I don't see anybody on Zoom.
Bill, I
Chris.
move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Motion to receive and file the one item of communication we have tonight.
So moved?
Second.
And that one item of communication is a report from the Monroe County Comptroller, giving us an update on our sales tax distribution for the fourth quarter of 2022. Paula, do you want to
Sure.
share that?
Yep. The fourth quarter for 22, we received 1,564,000 approximately, rounded down a little bit. That put us over budget, over our projections by an amount that we've actually used to shore up 2023. It was 83,000 over the 21 payment at the same time. So our sales tax has rebounded quite nicely during COVID, and we have also bumped our budget up in 23 based on the last 2 years' projections. So good news, always great to give good news.
Yes, it is. And actually, last week, we also got from the state comptroller an update on sales tax increases for January in Monroe County, which we will be sharing in, of course. Sales taxes were up about 11%, January to January. So the year is off to a good start. And that's very important because sales taxes are an important part of our revenues. Can I we have a motion to receive and file those communications. Any further comments? Can I have a vote, please?
Councilmember DeFonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Committee reports, community services. Robin?
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee met last Wednesday, February 15th. Among the items that we've discussed were continuing business, park issues. There was a discussion of the overall progress on park maintenance issues in light of the previously unseasonably warm weather and lack of snow. We also had a discussion about the annual Town Park Lodge maintenance closure for painting and repairs that took place during the annual scheduled week of no rentals. We had a discussion of the Brookside water and flooding issue that came up last week and follow-up maintenance. And also the Parks Department held a field use meeting with athletic teams that will be using the available fields in the upcoming year. There was also some trim fencing that was restored this past month in the area of Buckland House, and problematic trees at the Highland Crossing Trail and other trails have been removed. An update to our recreation programs, there was a discussion of the success of the Brickyard Trail art exhibit at the Buckland Farmhouse. We had over 350 community members visit the exhibit over the course of 2 weekends. I've heard that everybody just really appreciated the show and the work of the organizers, so including Peggy Dempsey. So we're very appreciative to all who came and appreciated the exhibit. Again, we had a little discussion of the flood at Brookside, reviewed that in light of program impact, which thanks to our recreation department's quick thinking was nil. So everybody had the full complement of programming. We also discussed an upcoming program, the 1619 book project Slow Read, that will be beginning March 1st, 2023, from 1:30 to 3 p.m. at SUNY Empire State College. The details were reviewed, and additional groups to which to market the program were identified. And that program is available for registration through our recreation sign-up, and it is supported by the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board. We talked about our Brighton Farmers Winters Market, which will be continuing indoors at the Brookside Center on Sunday, March 5th through April 2nd. The hours of the Sunday indoor market will be from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And then we will be reopening the outdoor market on April 16th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., as always, in the Brighton High School parking lot. We had an update to our feasibility study and also an update to our February break programming. Our sessions are almost full. And we also did a brief debrief of an upcoming program during the February break camp, which is called Presidentially Yours. And this is a really neat intergenerational activity with the camp participants interacting with our Brighton seniors program. So we're really looking forward to that. If you haven't signed up for February break camp, well, you're out of luck, I'm sorry. So, and then finally we had a discussion of the Brookside School being available for indoor walking. So if you've been heading out to the malls or whatnot, there's a closer venue for you to get your steps in. And then an update to our Winters Farmers Market. Ongoing work is happening at the project site. There's a road installation by our town crews currently underway across from Avalon Drive. And an update to our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board. Bill mentioned that in lieu of our regularly scheduled board meeting, the IDEA Board was in good attendance at our Black History Month program at Brighton Town Hall on February 16th, which of course featured that panel discussion between current history makers, James Blunt of About Time Magazine, Luana Jones of the United Way, and Adrian Hale of Foundry. And that discussion was moderated by our Chief Diversity Officer, Miriam Moore. And then the IDEA Board is also working to help promote our 1619 project books discussion. We had an update to our clean energy community priorities and sustainability funds. There was a discussion of our pollinator garden efforts in the Monroe Avenue Green Infrastructure Grant Program area. As progress has stalled a little bit given the limited response from Seneca Park Zoo, but we're keeping an eye on that. And we are also still awaiting word on the status of our EV station grant application. An update to our Urban League of Rochester ESL Town of Brighton First Time Home Buyers Program. We have an upcoming meeting with ESL on March 6th, And we had a brief discussion of the existing ESL first-time homebuyer grant funding programs that have faced some challenges because of the disclosures that are required, and just keeping in mind that Brighton will take that market environment into account in developing a program tailored for our own community. Our Adopt a Site program efforts will be rolled into our Clean Sweep annual programming, and we're very excited to expand Clean Sweep this year and update to that. Again, the date for Clean Sweep this year will be March 13th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And
13th.
Oh, I'm sorry, May 13th. Yes, May 13th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thank you for that catch. We're expanding our request for monetary donors, and we will be returning to our usual lunch program at French Road Elementary School to again, recapture that sense of community that's always so deeply felt after a day of cleaning up our byways. The lunch options will continue to be individualized, pre-packaged, and wrapped. And then under items of new business, our town historian, Mary Jo Lamphere, discussed her 2022 Brighton Town Historian Report and the ongoing activities and events that she's engaged in. She continues to work with the community on providing requested historical information. She's very successfully worked with some interns from Geneseo on various projects. And most excitingly, we're completing work on updating and correcting any historical inaccuracies that are depicted in the Brighton Town Hall mural. So there was a report generated about that. And finally, we discussed the potential for NOMO May, participation in NOMO May. Information was distributed for review of committee members, and we did discuss some of the potential challenges with obtaining community buy-in and reconciling that with our code enforcement. So we do have some upcoming events that, again, I want to highlight. The Brighton Farmers Market winter season opening will be at the Brookside School, 220 Idlewood Road on Sunday, March 5th, again from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The Drug Enforcement Agency National Pharmaceutical Take-Back event will occur in the Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing at 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Saturday, April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our annual Arbor Day celebration. It will be at a site still to be determined, but the date will be Saturday, April 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. As I mentioned before, Brighton Clean Sweep will be at Brighton Town Hall, 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Saturday, May 13th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And our semi-annual electronics recycling and secure document shredding event for the spring will occur at the Brighton Highway Department parking lot, 1941 Elmwood Avenue on Sunday, May 21st from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And I just want to mention a couple more updates from our recreation department. The winter spring program registration is ongoing. We have a number of great programs, and we do want you to check out all that we have to offer through Brighton Recreation, including that discussion of the 1619 project. That those programs and registration are available online at www.townofbrighton.org/rec, REC. Then I want to recognize our Hoops with Heroes event that is coming up on Friday, March 10th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. That will be at the Brookside Recreation Center gyms. You can come shoot some hoops and play games with members of the Brighton Police Department. Registration is required, but this is a free family event, and we hope that you will join us. See if you can beat the chief at hoops.
He's got game.
Uh-oh. Those knees go quickly. And we'll be continuing our AARP free tax preparation program. This free tax preparation appointments for Brighton and Pittsford residents will be taking place at the Pittsford Community Center on Fridays. They began on February 4th and will continue through April 8th. And this is a free quality basic tax preparation service. And you can transmit your return directly to the IRS. These are available by appointment only, so please call our Recreation Department at 585-784-5060, extension 0, in order to sign up. And the next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, May 15th, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. Or, I'm sorry, March 15th, 2023. I don't know why I keep getting March and May mixed up. At 9:30 a.m. or immediately following our Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting. And that will be in the Brookside Recreation Center multipurpose room. And we do ask that you please access the Recreation Department through the Winton Road entrance. As always, members of the public are invited and encouraged to attend. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Robin. With the roads tonight, I do note we have someone else that came in this evening, and even though it was after the open forum ended, did you want to speak during the open forum, or did you just come to?
Are you referring to me?
Yeah, absolutely, Slajina.
That's very kind of you. Well, thank you for acknowledging
If you would like, if you want to address the board, if you would come to the podium so the community can hear. You don't have to. I just noticed that you came in and thought you might have come to address the board.
I'm here. Thank you for the invitation.
But if you would speak.
I did not come with purpose to
Okay.
address the board tonight.
Okay.
I just came as a citizen to sit and get reacquainted with the initiatives and efforts.
Good.
And maybe in the near future, I would. Issues are ever rising. Anti-Semitism continues to be a problem and very challenging.
Nobody can hear you, Slajina. The only reason I ask is that nobody can hear you unless you speak at the podium.
Again, I don't want to take away from your planned time to address your planned agenda, but thank you very much for acknowledging my presence here. And like I said, I reside in Brighton still, and I did not come to address the board, but there are concerns that I'm sure I will be visiting in the near future to discuss. But thank you for all you do.
You're welcome.
And again, thank you so much for acknowledging.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, we'll continue with committee reports. Jason, Finance Committee.
Yes, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met last Wednesday, February 15th. Each of the items that were discussed in committee appear on tonight's agenda and will be voted on by the board. In addition, we did have 2 discussion items. The first was to amend the Public Works Department's table of organization by creating 1 position of grant administrator and abolish 1 position of planning technician. The position of grant administrator is not currently on the town's roster of approved civil service positions, but the creation process through the Monroe County Civil Service Commission is underway. Once the title is approved by the county, the Public Works Department will return to have the board take official action to amend the table of organization. Also, we had a member of the public come and visit us. Mr. Jim Berger addressed the committee regarding the ongoing RG&E billing issues and the possibility of forming a public utility. Metro Justice, which is an advocacy organization locally, is proposing that the county undergo a feasibility study in order to consider the implementation of a public utility in order to take over services from gas and electric services from RG&E. And Mr. Berger also requested that the board communicate to the county our support to conduct such a study. Our next meeting will take place on Wednesday, March 1st. We meet at 8:30 in the morning here in the main auditorium at Town Hall, and the public is invited to attend.
Thank you, Jason. Public Safety Committee, Chris.
Bill, I was out of town at the public safety meeting and
Councilmember DeFazio has the minutes.
Yes, and the Public Safety Committee met last Tuesday, February 14th, and during the open forum, Jewish Senior Life addressed the committee about a fun event proposed for the Green Lawn area behind the Town Hall complex. The event is proposed for June 11th, 2023, from approximately 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. This event would sponsor a walk with food and refreshments, entertainment events for the entire family. The event sponsor is to provide awareness to the limited impact to the neighborhood through flyers and will work with the Brighton Police Department for walk arrangements and event safety. During the networking portion of the meeting, Brighton Ambulance reported that they received a total of 704 requests for service throughout the month of January, with a total of 571 being within the Brighton Ambulance District, with 314 Brighton residents receiving services. A total of 122 requests for mutual aid were received from surrounding ambulance districts, and of those 122 requests, BVA responded to 45 calls for mutual aid, and the total Brighton volunteer ambulance requests for service through February 1st was 704 for the year, which is an increase of 17% over the 2022 volume. The Brighton Fire Department reported that they've received approximately 270 calls year to date, and of significance over the past month have been for a partition fire on Howland Avenue on February 4th, and also a structure fire on Glen Road on February 11th, for which a second alarm was called due to access issues. Also, Brighton Fire reported that planning for the May 2023 PGA tournament continues in conjunction with the Pittsford Fire District as lead agency, as well as additional emergency resources from the county. And Brighton Fire also regretfully informed to the committee of the passing of retired career firefighter Bruce Krantz. Mr. Krantz joined the BFD in 1969 and retired in 1998, working primarily from Station 3 on Blossom Road. Brighton Department of Public Works reported that they're working on the Chelmsford Road bridge closure and repair plan, and that was also reviewed at the Finance Committee and will be presented on tonight's agenda, and also continues with road and pothole repairs as necessary, and crews are currently working on the construction of farmers market improvements. Brighton Police Department reported their calls for service through the end of January of 4,454, and that 19 cars were stolen in January, and that the police department is involved in distributing steering wheel locks. And then also, as Robin alluded to, on March 10th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Brookside, the Hoops with Heroes event will take place. The Henrietta Fire District reported 554 calls in January. 78 of those calls were in West Brighton. Final inspection on the new engine 675, which will be the engine stationed in West Brighton, will be on February 27th with delivery shortly thereafter. Henrietta Fire also reported working on beginning a program of community CPR, AED, and Stop the Bleed training. And as a matter of old business, the town reviewed the matter of doing a town-wide speed reduction of town roads to a 25-mile-an-hour zone, and that we received and distributed a proposal from Stantec for evaluation of roads for a town-wide speed limit reduction. And Commissioner Guyon was to continue with the Finance Committee for mainly the Type 1 residential roads and submitting this proposal for adoption and approval of the proposal. Now, the next meeting of the Public Safety Committee is on Tuesday, March 14th. We meet at 8 in the morning here in the main auditorium at Town Hall, and the public is invited to attend.
Thanks, Jason. Chief, I don't want to catch you off guard or anything, but this is the time of year that the Brighton Police Department engages in a wide range of training activities. And if you don't mind, just spend a minute or two talking about some of the types of training programming that the department members, and in many cases from top to bottom, are engaged in during this time of year.
So we just recently completed, at the end of January every year, it's known as our Defensive Tactics Week. It's about teaching and refreshing the membership on how to control unruly persons. That's part of it. We also teach CPR and AED. The Henrietta Fire Department came in and spent, it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours teaching that and getting us all refreshed in that. The next evolution of our training is going to be the end of March, or the last week of March. We're going to be teaching our procedural justice portion of training to all the members, including myself. It's a refresher. We'll be teaching and refreshing our active bystandership for law enforcement, or ABLE, which is all a part of our duty to intercede training. As you know, we have a policy that says we have a duty to intercede, which I always say policy is great, it's in writing, but what are we doing to teach our members how to do that? So there's actually curriculum in teaching it. Last year, Bob Duffy did a presentation to all the chiefs of Monroe County. It's known as ABLE, A-B-L-E. And Mr. John Aroni from the George Washington School of Law came in and did a presentation on it. I was immediately taken by it. I thought it was a really good program, so we brought that here last year. Also, Miss Miriam Moore is going to be coming in. She's going to teach and have a course of instruction for about an hour on racial justice curriculum. It hasn't quite yet been determined yet. We're really happy to have somebody in-house. We used to have to go, the year prior we had to go outside the department to get that training, so now we have somebody in-house to do that. So that's just a snapshot of the training. I also heard Councilmember DePonzio mention about the stolen cars in January. We had 19 stolen cars, so Kia and Hyundai are offering free wheel locks, commonly referred to as the club. We had about 100 of them. We're down to handing out, I think we have only about 10 left. We actually went out to apartment complexes where we had the majority of these cars stolen. And so all the victims that had their cars initially stolen, we provided them with a club. So we got that done. We also provided clubs for people that called up if they were Brighton residents. So we're only at about 10 left. We should be getting another shipment, knock on wood, maybe in another couple of weeks. So that's just a brief snapshot of what we're going on.
Thank you very much. I think it's important that the community understand the breadth and depth of the training. We've talked a lot in the past about all of the mental health training and autism training, engaging with members of the community as a core part of your training. But again, there are so many different areas that all come back to the community policing philosophy that the Brighton Police Department has engaged for decades.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. So we're also teaching a refresher training of our mental health first aid. All of the members in our department received mental health first aid training. As you know, back when Chief Henderson was here in 2017, 18-ish, we actually sent one of our members down to Atlanta, Georgia to receive this training. She brought back that, taught the entire department, so we're still in the process of doing that every year, a refresher training. All of our patrol staff have crisis intervention training, which is a 40-hour block of instruction. So it's really, when you look at it, it's an enormous effort because it doesn't end. You not only have to do the training this year, but there's always refresher training. And for the last 2 years in a row now, instead of just doing 1 week of training in January, we're pushing that week of training out into March. So we're up to 2 weeks of training outside of all the other required training that we do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Public Works Committee. Christine is not here, but you're doing the Public Works.
I've been asked to present the minutes for the Public Works Committee meeting of February 14th, which was held at 9 o'clock. The first item was a town hall study. Inex Architecture completed a study of the town hall for improvements that resulted in the development of a priority project. This study also included 5 alternative projects that would be incorporated into the priority project depending upon funding. The priority project was presented, which includes HVAC improvements, full building environmental abatement, accessibility upgrades, new exterior front entry stairs and ramps, first floor restroom and mother's room, accessible departmental service counters, and security upgrades. The 5 alternatives at PWC were there to determine what the scope of the priority project should be and whether it should be expanded. The 5 alternatives include the DPW department renovations to renovate the offices of the town clerk, finance department, assessor's office, human resources, chief diversity officer, and technology departments. This alternative also includes renovations to the staff room and the downstairs conference room, repairing the parking lot and drainage system, and constructing a facilities shop along the rear of Town Hall, and to install a snow melt system for the proposed entrance. These are all alternatives, depending on funding. The PWC reviewed each alternative and will determine whether the priority project should or could be expanded. Next, a discussion was had regarding the Chelmsford Lane culvert replacement. On January 22nd, just this past January 22nd, the town staff noticed a significant sinkhole along the east side of Chelmsford Lane where it crosses Buckland Creek. Fearing that the road culvert conveying the creek was unstable, the town closed this portion of Chelmsford Lane and contacted Ravi Engineering to inspect. They conducted a site inspection on January 23 and recommended that the roadway remain closed until the structure is repaired or replaced. The Public Works Committee suggested that this section of roadway could be transformed into a bike pedestrian access, which could significantly reduce the cost of the repair or replacement. Town staff will contact Ravi Engineering to determine whether the culvert in its existing condition could be used for pedestrian and/or bicycle access. Next, the homemakers' entry monuments have been looked at, and a report was presented by town staff regarding the condition of the entry monuments. The report was prepared by Bureau Architecture and included estimates to repair the entry monuments and the anticipated maintenance costs. The repair costs were estimated to be $175,600 plus $3,300 for vegetation control. They also estimated an annual maintenance cost of $1,200 with a cost of $6,400 to repoint the mortar joints every 5 years. The Homemakers Neighborhood Improvement District will fund these improvements provided the project proceeds. Town staff is working with the Neighborhood Association to determine the annual district charge per parcel to cover the costs of repair and maintenance of the entry monuments. Next, Brooklawn Lighting District. The town received an informal petition from 15 residents requesting that the town begin the process of forming the Rowlands Subdivision Lighting District. Several residents attended the Public Works Committee to discuss the lighting district and how that might work. And the lighting district should consider light coverage up to Monroe Avenue. The Public Works Committee authorized staff to further investigate the formation of a lighting district and prepare a map and report. The map and plan and report would include a map and description of the proposed district boundaries, an estimate of the project costs, detailing the capital and maintenance cost, and a financial analysis showing the anticipated cost per district property. Once the report is complete, town staff will meet with the neighborhood leaders to review the information and provide a formal petition for circulation by neighborhood leaders to the properties within the district for signature. Each signature would be notarized, and when sufficient signatures are obtained, each petition will be submitted to the town, and then a public hearing would be scheduled to consider the district formation. This would also require the New York State Comptroller's approval, and anticipate that that project, that process would require 1 to 2 years to complete. Next, a CDBG proposal is to be prepared by the town for a grant application to fund the construction of sidewalks along Westfall Road. The proposed sidewalk will connect the sidewalks being constructed as an amenity to the Jewish Senior Life Project with the existing sidewalk along the front of the Winters Farmer Market building. The JSL project is along along Winton Road and around the corner onto Westfall, and that would be a terrific linkage. The estimated cost of this additional stretch of sidewalk would be $180,000, again, hopefully by way of grant. Next, an EECBG grant. The Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program is designed to assist local governments
in implementing strategies to reduce energy use, to reduce fossil fuel emissions, and to improve energy efficiency. The town qualifies for $76,300 of such a grant funding, which is available through a voucher or a grant program. The voucher program is the simplified process and would require a voucher for each funded project. The grant program requires that the town prepare a formula application and develop a plan for the use of the grant in achieving the local energy goals of the town. The town's climate action plan could serve as the plan for the use of the grant, maybe. And the town staff will prepare a pre-award information sheet by April 28th of this year, and the PWC would determine whether the town will pursue the voucher or grant programs before that submission date. The town will discuss the possibility of teaming with adjoining municipalities to maximize the use of such grant funding. And lastly, the committee reviewed 12 trees that are scheduled for removal. Again, it looks like a bad month for maple trees. The Tree Council at their February 7, 2023 meeting concurred with the removal of these trees. The town will prepare the appropriate documentation to schedule a public hearing for significant trees, those being over 30 inches, or a 30-day notification where the trees have a diameter less than 30 inches to be removed. And again, a dozen trees were itemized. That concluded the meeting, and the next meeting will be held March 14 at 9:00 a.m. or perhaps 9:15, but following on the Public Safety Committee meeting.
Chris, if you could go back
Yes.
just for a second, as I wasn't quite sure I followed you at one point, you talked about the Public Works Department preparing something for submission of a grant alternative before April?
Yes, the EECBG
Right.
grant. So
But I'm not sure that we directed, and I'm certainly not prepared to direct at this point the department to prepare.
it was a pre-award information sheet.
The question with, so we were working on whether that was going to be the voucher or the other application. So that needed to be squared away before we determined where we were going to move with that EECBG grant. Once we determined that, I think the voucher was a little bit less work, where the other option was a bit more work, would be the grant application.
Particularly since even the notion, and you know, because we had a good robust discussion about
Right.
the climate action plan itself is possibly, but we're not going to have the climate action plan completed until May. Documentation would be required in April.
Yes, April 28th is
And
the
we don't know whether,
Re-registration.
whether a draft plan would even be
Would suffice.
something that would be sufficient. We've talked a lot about staffing challenges in the department, and I'm really, really loath to put new burdens on the department when it's not a matter of whether we'll get the money. We have, it's a designated amount, the $76,300 amount. Whether there's a grant program or whether we simply do it as a voucher, which would, and we identified a few possible, whether it's something relating to the EV stations or potentially some of the other projects that are ongoing. So I guess, you know, if there's paperwork we have to do, even if we go the voucher route, yes, we obviously should be doing that. But unless and until we're at a point
That
where
is
we-
that paperwork signals your intention to move forward with either the voucher or the grant
All right,
program.
right,
Or-
okay. Correct,
So yeah, that preliminary information is required by everybody who is going to seek the funds.
Regardless.
That's what I was trying to.
And we will seek direction from the board regarding which direction we go after.
Good, okay.
Am I correct in saying that these are the last minutes Commissioner Guyan will prepare for the Public Works Committee?
You are correct. So these are the last minutes I will be.
Always very comprehensive and appreciate your work.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you.
More to follow. Okay. We have no old business. Moving on to new business. Reading and approval of claims. Jason.
Yes, Bill. Earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $8,630,325.24. Notable claims include to the Brighton Fire District in the amount of $5,963,567.69, representing final payment for the 2023 property tax collection by the town clerk. We collect the fire district's taxes that are levied on the town tax bills and then turn those over to those taxing authorities. Also, in the same vein, to the Henrietta Fire District in the amount of $1,556,658.50, representing final payment for the 2023 property tax collection. Also to the Depository Trust Company in the amount of $363,600, representing the final principal and interest payment on the 2016 bond for parkland acquisition.
Boy, that was money well spent.
Very much
But
so.
I'm glad we've finished the debt service on it.
That's right, that's right. And also to DeLacy Ford Incorporated in the amount of $90,855.80, representing payment for 2 new 2023 Ford utility police vehicles. And finally, to Keeler Construction Company in the amount of $29,551.70, representing payment for 2022 Elmwood Avenue sidewalk improvements. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second?
Any discussion on those? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll on the motion.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Why don't you do the next one too, Jason?
Sure. The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Cernus Vending Services for the provision of 2 vending machines with a 2-year term with the option of 2 additional 1-year terms effective Nunc Pro Tunc October 28, 2022 to October 27, 2024. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second?
Discussion? I would note that they pay us to cite their machines here and down in the recreation department. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to award a bid contract to Terry Tree Service for the provision of a bucket truck and qualified operator at an hourly rate of $236 per hour, not to exceed a total amount of $41,472 for the calendar year 2023 term. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And just to clarify, and the resolution is correct, but as we discussed at the committee meeting, actually, that also speaks in the singular too, doesn't it? There are actually 2 people that work as a team when we use the bucket truck, basically an operator and a spotter. Is that
It's my understanding.
accurate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, if everybody's good, we had Chris and Chris made the motion, Jason seconded it. If you're both acceptable to that friendly amendment, we'll act accordingly. We have a motion seconded. Further comment?
What's the friendly amendment?
That it is operators.
Let's see. Here's the advertising, an
people.
operator and spotter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so the amendment is,
We could say qualified operator and spotter too. Yeah, that's fine.
just want the record,
Yep. Yep. Good.
qualified operator
And spotter. Good. With that change, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. And Chris, why don't you do the next one too?
The next item is to authorize the supervisor to amend the municipal snow and ice agreement with New York State Department of Transportation to reflect additional plowing of state roads by increasing the cost for the 2022-23 winter season by $39,017.08 for a total of $264,544.91. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second?
And just, that $264,000 is what the state pays us to plow state roads, and that increment, that $39,000 increment, relates to last winter when there was snow, as opposed to this winter when there isn't much snow. And it's always a year behind, so we'll have to see what that looks like when all is said and done. But in any event, okay, Dan, if there's nothing further on that, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Robin, if you do the next one, please.
Certainly. The next item seeks to approve suspension of the town's procurement process for design services from Ravi Engineering to expedite the replacement/rehabilitation of the Chelmsford Lane culvert, which unexpectedly collapsed. Authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Ravi Engineering for such services, and authorize the finance director to amend the budget as necessary to fund this project. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
And Mike, if you don't mind, because it is a request to essentially modify or suspend the procurement policy, if you would just discuss the reason you're recommending that.
The reason we're recommending it is it's a critical little improvement. We have to get that up and running. To go through the procurement process does take some time. We'd like to get started immediately with Ravi Engineers. Ravi Engineer is on the LDSA list, so they are capable. They are already certified to do New York State work, and have gone through a bidding process to be on that list. They are currently doing some work with us on French Road. We're familiar with them. They went in and inspected that bridge. Their primary work is bridges, so we feel very confident that they are very qualified for this project. This will help us expedite the project to get it to construction this year.
And of course, they came in on an emergency basis.
To take a look at it, yep.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they were there the next day, honestly, and they took a look at it, and they also recommended that we maintain that bridge as being closed until such time as we get it repaired.
Ken, did you want to add something?
Yeah, just a clarification. Commissioner Guyon mentioned the word bid, actually. So this is a professional services contract, not subject to bidding. So we're not taking an exception to bidding law here. We're simply taking an exception to our own town procurement policies relative to professional services.
Right. Right. Any further discussion on that one? And again, we had a lengthy discussion on this matter in committee, and I just wanted to make sure we at least brought it back out again here. Dan, if you would call the roll on that motion, please.
Councilmember DeFanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Robin, why don't you do the next one, too?
Certainly, the next matter seeks to amend the flat salaried/wage position schedule to add the title of certified arborist and approve a $3,000 annual stipend for Kyle Sears for additional responsibility as a certified arborist. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
And Mike, again, if you want to.
Sure. Thank you,
Discuss that.
Supervisor. Kyle Sears recently passed his arborist test, so now he is a certified arborist. Being a Tree City USA, this is very critical to the work we do, having a certified arborist on staff. Currently, Kyle's primarily in charge of sidewalks, and he overseeing construction projects, in addition to providing survey for our construction crews. Pretty busy guy. This was sort of in addition. He sort of stepped out above and beyond to get this certification. It'll be additional services. We feel that $3,000 is the appropriate compensation for that certification. It will give a lot more credibility and a lot more to our arborist program. I know the tree council has talked about having a certified arborist on staff, so this will go a long way for their tree councils.
Great. And Ken?
So I was not part of the Finance Committee discussion on this. And when I drafted this resolution, I made a presumption that I'm not sure is accurate. So I want to run it by Commissioner Guyon and the board. This resolution calls for a $3,000 annual stipend and puts this person in this position effective February 27th of 2023. I added a clause at the end of the resolution saying that the $3,000 annual stipend would be prorated for the year. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
I had not anticipated to be prorated for this year.
You had not.
I had not.
I don't know what finance or the board had anticipated.
We traditionally, we would prorate it, we would divide that salary into 26 pay periods. If the person's only going to be serving 20 pay periods or 21 pay periods, then we would take that division by 26 and pay it out 21 times. That's traditionally how we would do it.
I'm okay with that. I mean, it's not gonna,
And Kyle is going to be okay with that.
Kyle will be okay with it.
All right,
So that's how it's written.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris, the next one, please.
The next item is to approve the appointment of Steve Nowcomb to the position of planning technician. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second?
Mike,
Sure. You got a lot on the
we're going to
agenda.
get our money's worth out of your last meeting.
As you're all aware, Jeff Frisch, who was the previous planner, has moved on to a different career in a different state. Jason Hermanzo moved up to fill Jeff's position, left the planning technician spot open. We canvassed the list, or there was a list available, civil service list. We canvassed the list. We interviewed about five folks. Stephen is a Brighton resident. He currently lives in Albany, but is a Brighton resident, grew up in Brighton. Actually was coached by Ramsey Boehner, I think, playing soccer, so very familiar with the town. He finished #1 on the civil service exam. The main holdup on getting this spot filled was trying to get the civil service exam posted. It took forever, and then we had to kind of wait, and then finally were able to hire once it was posted, and luckily Stephen was #1 on the list, so.
And to be clear, that's the county.
Yes, yeah, that is the county civil service
posting,
program.
yeah.
So we're looking for him to be, hired into the position of planning technician. Starting date would be February 27th. He would start at step 1, group 5. Pretty excited to get him. He reminded us a lot of Jeff, and we had a lot of success with Jeff. So
Great.
This is 35 hours per week, Mike?
that is correct.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. The next one is a matter we've spent quite a bit of time talking about, but I'll turn it to Jason, and we may go back to Mike.
Right. The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an equity lease agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management and execute all related documents. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second?
Mike?
Well, we've been working on this lease agreement, Connor, for over a year. Yeah. Connor Kimball here is from Enterprise to answer any questions if the board has any. But we've been working on this for a year. We've met with all the involved department heads. The whole intent here is to reduce our current life cycle. It's currently on our vehicles is about 13 years. So this will improve the safety, the reliability of our small or light to medium duty vehicles. It's something new we haven't done. I'm excited about it. It will give us a much newer, safer, fuel-efficient fleet. It will also allow us to look at doing EV in the future. So we're excited about it. It's about, we've talked about it. I think it's a great opportunity for the town.
And the other reason we're excited about it is the prospect, although there are no guarantees in life, as the stockbrokers say, past performance is no guarantee of future results. But the very possible
The cost savings could be
benefit
substantial.
of cost
Correct.
savings in addition to modernizing the fleet and those safety improvements that we talked about.
If I remember the numbers right, it was a cost savings of about $700,000 over 10 years. So it is substantial.
Further discussion on this matter? Ken?
Just to note for the board, because this is a new relationship for the town, I did insert at the end that the lease before you sign it, Supervisor, is subject to my review as to its form. I just want to double check things.
And I know Connor's looking to get started as quickly as he can, so if we can get through that process quickly so that we can really take advantage of what I think will be a deal with some real benefits for the town in terms of modernizing the vehicles, reducing maintenance costs, getting those safety
The features back, the backup cameras,
Yeah,
things of that
yeah.
nature, yep.
and cost savings. So yeah, that's fine.
And I would anticipate that after the board presumably approves this resolution, that Enterprise will be sending along a proposed lease for execution.
I think we've got it, don't we?
Yeah.
I
think
don't know if
Connor,
there-
you sent it to the supervisor already, or do you have it with you? Yeah, sure, Connor.
So I did come prepared with printed copies, so we did have
Perfect.
these signed vehicle quotes, so
Connor,
those were
if you would
good
just
holdings.
state your name and
Yeah,
your
Connor Kimball with Enterprise
representation.
Fleet Management.
Thank you.
Just to confirm, the documents I prepared and printed out for you, Ken, for your review as well. The master lease agreements, again, there's one master equity lease agreement, and then subsequent agreements following. So I have those printed. Paul, I have the copies of those signed quotes as well for any additional review.
I would appreciate them electronically if I could get them
I
electronically,
can absolutely do
please.
that too. I did send them to Supervisor Maley, so those were done through via DocuSign for when approval time is ready. I'll send you a separate email again. I know we discussed those, it's been quite some time, so I'll absolutely
It
get
has
those
been,
updated
yes.
and sent back over to you.
Thank you.
And we did, as we discussed in committee, I had the opportunity to discuss a similar relationship that East Rochester has, that the village administrator spoke highly of, and particularly focused on the customer service component of the relationship. So that's always good to hear. We have a motion seconded. Anything more?
I just wanted to point out the very obvious benefit that we will have a fleet management program in process, which we do not have right now. And so we really view that as a benefit, and we thank you for that.
And where I thought you were going, but I'll do it too, is that whether or not we get EVs, we will be improving whatever type of vehicle.
Right.
The newer vehicles are more energy efficient. So that will be another.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of potential.
No,
Yes.
the fleet management aspect of it, Robin, is a big
Yeah, it
deal.
is.
It takes a lot of resources to make it work.
Right.
And this will be a big help.
Yep.
And these are lighter, somewhat lighter weight vehicles. And see, this is not our heavy plow trucks and that
Correct.
sort of thing. I see the list of cargo van, SUV, 3/4 ton pickups, and 1 ton pickups as well. And it looks like a great program.
Okay. Motion seconded. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jason, why don't you do the next one too?
Yes, the next matter seeks to approve 2022 budget transfers and appropriations and the related reappropriations to the 2023 budget for approved grants and other projects not yet completed. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second?
And this we do each year, or I should say Paula does each year to close out budget issues at the end of the year. Paula, take it away.
And that's not all, folks. Now, what we'll do is the majority of what you see before you tonight are the traditional coverage of overages in the budgets. Next board meeting, I'm going to be presenting the capital project rollovers and any of the other significant projects. We have the multiversity grant to roll over. I don't believe we spent anything on that. We'll double check the numbers for a couple other small projects we have in the budget, and then our capital projects too. It's a lot to try to pull everything together at once, and we do close late. We'll have auditors here next week. So you will see one more, and we'll catch everything next time.
Great, thank you,
Thank you.
Paula. Any comments on that? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. And Robin, the last item of new business,
Certainly.
please.
So the last item, scrolling, seeks to adopt the negative declaration from the environmental assessment of the Westfall Road Sidewalk Project. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
And this, again, this is something we have discussed. It relates to at least indirectly, to the incentive zoning project at Jewish Senior Life, where Jewish Senior Life will be building sidewalks, but we will also be building sidewalks, and in connection therewith, we need to prepare
This secret determination is necessary for our CDBG grant application.
and that I was going to say, and that'll be funded through the CDBG.
Correct.
Yep. Yep.
And it will, the application needs to have, as part of that application, we need to demonstrate that we've done an environmental review of the project.
Yep. Perfect. Further discussion, anybody? And again, you know, we've been closing these gaps, and this is going to close an important gap. You've all heard me talk about how initially the Winton Road piece came from a conversation with Rabbi Vogel, and his walks, the need for him and for other rabbis to walk out to the Jewish home. And this will now allow anybody walking out to the Jewish home to do it safely.
So Bill, this is a real wraparound. This will take someone from the canal, you could actually go beyond the canal, on a sidewalk in front of the Jewish home.
And then wrap all the way around Westfall.
All the way down Westfall, all the way down Winton, wrap around Westfall into the park, and then continue along down Westfall. This is a tremendous
Significant gap
addition.
We've got a chunk on Westfall. This will close that gap, and again, as part of the Jewish Senior Life Project, they will be doing the rest of the Westfall and the Winton Road. And again, all of that, if we get this grant, all of that at no cost to town taxpayers.
And just to, nitpick a little bit, JSL, or Jewish Senior Life, will be doing a sidewalk down Winton to the border of the Brighton Volunteer Ambulance property. And the Brighton Volunteer Ambulance folks have agreed to put a sidewalk around that corner of their property, and then Jewish Senior Life picks up for another approximately 1,100 linear feet.
Good point.
Yep.
Actually, it's 800 and
I can't remember, somewhere in that area, yeah.
up Westfall, and then this sidewalk that we're talking about here will link up with that, going up Westfall on that side. So, and they won't necessarily be all completed simultaneously, right? But hopefully in close proximity.
Beautiful.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, I'm not going to say a lot. We're going to do a whole lot more internally here on March 3rd, which will be Mike Guyan's last day. But Mike, you've been extraordinary, and I'm looking forward to saying a whole lot more on March 3rd.
You know I'm not
We're
good,
grateful.
but I appreciate all the kind words. I enjoy working for the board. I appreciate the opportunity you guys have given me to work in the town of Brighton and to do the job I've done. So, thank you.
Matters of the town attorney.
Well, same for me, Mike. I will miss working with you. You've made my job very easy, actually, and I hope your successor will do the same. I know you're helping us in that process as well, and appreciate your continued effort in that. I also want to thank the board for allowing me to go to the Association of Towns meeting this past few days. Went down on Sunday. We had training Monday, Tuesday, and flew back this morning. Picked up some good nuggets on all sorts of stuff. Things that help us just focus on a few more details, things that may help us problem solve as those issues come up. So it was a good conference. And lastly, at that conference, one of the highlights, of course, was Bill and Robin and Miriam. Your presentation was tremendous. I was there, Supervisor Frankel, Neil Frankel were there, Robin's husband Nick joined us as well. It was a great presentation.
Supervisor Bill Smith from Pittsford was there among the many.
You presented the idea, program, plan, and advisory board concepts in such a good way. I know that you sparked a lot of interest, continuing to show Brighton as a leader in the state on important issues. And you ought to be very, very proud of the presentation you made. I was proud sitting there. So thank you for the opportunity and great presentation.
Thank you, Ken. Matters of the town clerk.
Mike's okay.
You know, he'd rather you say that because he hates this stuff.
You know,
he hates the spotlight. He just does his work.
We don't need to oversell it. You know, he's replaceable. No, I'm just kidding. You know I'm gonna miss you. So, but nothing for me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Matters of the board. Don't embarrass the guy. No. March 3rd.
March 3rd.
That's when we embarrass it.
Pile on.
He embarrassed you
Pile
March
on
3rd.
March 3rd.
Yeah.
We'll be ready.
Hold it till March 3rd.
Any matters of the board other than piling on Mike Guyon? Then can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So move.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Thank you to our interpreters. We appreciate you making our meetings accessible to a broader cross-section of the community. And our next meeting will be Wednesday, March 8th at 7 p.m. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.